Welcome to the Leaning Podcast, where we talk about life's curveballs with wisdom, a dash of humor, one laugh at a time. Today we're talking about a very interesting topic, and it's navigating midlife. I am a midlife human being. I love using the term human being. I found myself in a space of life is changing. So I am currently 43 years old, and I think my midlife reflection, I'm not going to call it a crisis. My midlife reflection started around 37, 38. So typically, according to the definitions that are there, midlife is the age between 40, 45 and 60, 65. And as per the clichés that exist, apparently this is the time that men are going to buy the littlest, fastest moving car, much as they cannot be able to drive it. And apparently, ladies are looking for ways to stay younger. But what I can tell you about my midlife is it's a space that I have found myself taking my firstborn to college. Yep, my firstborn is in college, and I remember driving him to school and on his first day of college, and we were just reflecting. And I remember when I took him to kindergarten, and he could not let go of my skirt. He just hung on to me, and he would not let go. And he had teacher Naomi, and he used to call her teacher Omi. I mean, that's midlife for me. Midlife means a lot of things are shifting. For most of my friends who are in midlife, it means that they've become caregivers, because at this particular point, our parents are aging. Our parents are 65 and above. I've had one of my very close friends who had to go through a journey of nursing her mother-in-law for a while, who was battling an illness. So that's midlife. Midlife is becoming empty nesters. Your children have gone to college, and once they go to college, they hardly ever come back, because they go to college, they find a life of their own. They go and get married or not, or they're moving out of home. So that is typical midlife, what is happening in midlife. So another curveball, something that I recently came across, is something called grey divorce. So apparently during midlife, statistics are showing that many of the divorces happen around midlife. We know there's those people who will get divorced very early on in their marriage, but if you look at statistics, this period of that we're not going to call a crisis, we're calling it a period of reflection. A lot of changes happen in people's lives. This is the time you find people have become very restless. Your career is suddenly not making sense. You feel people start farming. I've seen a couple of people move from their corporate, amazing, huge jobs. They go and explore self-employment. It's this space of midlife exploration, midlife reflection. You start really asking yourself. I think for me, and it's different for everybody, it's almost like the identity crisis that you get when you're moving from a young child to teenagehood, from teenagehood to young adult. It's another space of growth where you sit and ask yourself, who am I? What am I doing in life? Am I adding value? Am I doing what I'm meant to be doing here on earth? Because everybody has a single purpose. Every single person has a purpose that they were brought here on earth to do. And during this midlife is when people start asking them, what is my purpose? And I remember one day I went for a training and we were told to write our eulogy. And I was like, whoa. In Africa, we don't talk about death. And you're told to write your eulogy. What will people say about you when you're gone? That happens a lot in midlife. Again, in midlife, because we're in that space of people close to us are losing parents. We also realized by the time you're hitting 40, you realize you've lived half your life. And that period of midlife reflection, you start asking yourself, what did I do with the 40 years of my life? So before I started doing a podcast, I used to blog quite a bit. And I remember when I turned 40, I did a blog article, and I think I called it my midlife. I call it Midlife, yeah, I think so. Midlife. I'm going to look for it, and I'm going to tag it on this podcast. And I was talking about my life. So the first 20 years of my life, of anybody's life really, is education. You have gone to kindergarten, you've gone to primary school, you've gone to high school, you've gone to campus. And for those of us who got married early, so that means your early 20s, you finish high school, you finish college, you get married, and you start forming a family. You start making a family, you're building a family. So that is well into your 30s. So by the time you're hitting 30, so let me give you a typical example of my life. So I graduated when I was 24, 25. By the time I was 26, I was married. By the time I was 27, I got my firstborn. By the time I was 30, I got my secondborn. And by the time I was 30, then it's 10. By the time I was 31, 32, I got my thirdborn. So I spent my 20s, my late 20s, mid 20s and late 20s, learning how to be a wife, a parent, a mother, figuring that space out. Then I came into my 30s. My career is taking off. I am working really hard at work. And don't forget, by the time I'm juggling kids, raising, making a home, I was doing my MBA, I was doing certifications, I was still in school. So my 20s and my early 30s were a blur. They were a busy period of my life, as in you don't even know whether you're going or coming. You have energy to do what you need to do. Late 30 comes and you sort of start having a sense of you have a bit of, and I'm going to speak about my life, I have a bit of downtime where I can sit and go like, okay, so what have I been doing with my life? And then you hit 40 and everybody tells you life begins at 40. So for me, life truly began at 40 because I was done having babies. My career had stabilized. I kind of was done doing most of the studying, though I'm still flirting with the idea of going back to school. And it began at 40 because then I found myself single, a single mother raising 3 children. So in a sense, that was a whole new book. It's not even a new chapter. It's a whole new book that I'm writing. And then that is the midlife space. For me, that is my midlife. That is how my midlife started. So I was ushered into midlife, a single lady, dealing with all these complexities of raising children, balancing, finding your identity, finding your purpose and stuff like that, taking my child to college. Another thing that we're not told, I watched a talk by Oprah, and she has written a little book. It's called Buckle Up, Things Are About to Get Weird. And she was saying everybody who turns 40 needs to be given this book. Ladies, for example, especially. This book talks about the changes that happen to you when you hit midlife. So I recently was chatting with some of my friends, and we were like, I was telling them I could not sleep because it was really hot at night. And everybody was looking at me strangely. They're like, no, it's not hot. I'm like, oh, come on. It is really hot. I'm throwing away my blankets. And I was like, wait a minute. That could be what they call perimenopause. Nobody talks about it. And it's all written in this little book, and I recommend, please go and get it. You can even get a soft copy. It's called Buckle Up, Things Are About to Get Weird. Because things start getting weird. Suddenly, in your 30s, in your 20s, first you can eat anything and you don't add weight. In your 30s, you add and lose very quickly. You hit 40, you're in this space that we're calling the perimenopause. And you just smell in the direction of fried food and you add weight. And when you add this weight, it sticks on you and it's not going to go. So this is what midlife comes with. So forget about the clichés about midlife. Midlife comes with uncertainties. You start worrying about your future. You're like, okay, I have worked for the last 15 or so years. How many more productive years do you have? And midlife, we have said it's that space of between 40 something to around 60, 65. So there are people who are in their 50s and are wondering, I'm so close to retirement. What does my life look like? You could still be living in a rented property. So you're in a rented house, you're 5 years to retiring, and you're dealing with a lot of uncertainty. Those are the real issues about midlife. So forget about the midlife crisis. For me, I'm going to look at it as midlife reflection, and I would love for us to engage in this conversation further, because nobody prepares you for the worries. And then you realize there's this thing that we keep saying, if I knew then what I know now in terms of investment, truly, if I knew then what I know now, the investments that I did 5 years ago, I would not have done them, because I lost so much money investing in spaces that are not going to give me a good return. Now, if I knew then what I know now, and that's what he said, learn through others, learn from other people's mistakes. Those people who are not yet in midlife, please learn from the people who are in midlife. And those of us who are in the midlife, early midlife, mid-midlife, or smack in the thick of the midlife, it's never too late for you to make things work. This is the part where you're thinking about your legacy. My motto has always been the last couple of years: live, love, laugh, and leave a legacy. I want to truly live. I want to be present. I want to be present in everything that I am doing. I want to feel alive. I want to experience life. And I want to love. Truly, truly love. I know I will love and lose. I will love some. But my commitment is to really, truly experience love, because love is beautiful. And I have had the opportunity of loving and being loved, and it's amazing. I want to laugh until my sides hurt. I want to be able to appreciate the wrinkles that I'm having. Again, that's another thing for midlife. You start seeing wrinkles and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm becoming old, and gray hairs. So I want to laugh until my sides hurt, because life is measured by the moments, the things that happen to you. So if you're living and really appreciating the moments and living in the present, you're going to find reasons to be happy. And for those of you who know me, you know that I live with an attitude of gratitude. Things could be going so wrong, but I'm like, okay, so what am I happy about today? What am I grateful for today? And I want to leave a legacy. What will people say about me when I'm gone? What is that thing that I'm going to leave my children? And it's not about wealth. It's not about money. I would love to leave them a lot of money. I'd love to leave them wealth and stuff like that. But I want to leave a legacy, something that they can identify and go like, you know what? That's what mommy used to do. That's mommy's legacy, and we're going to keep it alive. So what are you doing for yourself in this midlife space? What are you doing to ensure that you're actually enjoying the moments? Don't let life pass you by because you're worried about how much time you have left to live. When you hit midlife, you have something that's always said, you have lived longer than you are going to live, but you don't know. You could live to 100. So what are you going to do in this midlife, during this midlife reflection? Remember, not midlife crisis, this midlife reflection period. What will you do that will make your life count, that will make your life and the life of others who are important to you, make it count? Another thing, midlife, it's a whole thing. That's the part you start seeing the wrinkles. I know I've talked about them. I recently started actually noticing I actually have a bit more wrinkles under my eyes, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So during midlife is when we actively as women start looking for products, not necessarily that are going to make us look younger, but products that make us sort of embrace this stage properly. Now I'm more careful in ensuring that I put my eye cream. I'm more careful when I know that there's serums that I have to use that I never used to bother using. In my 20s, I used to use Vaseline. I used Aramis. In every household in Kenya, there's Aramis. I have used Aramis for my face very well because I had a flawless skin. I didn't need to think about it a lot. Then you're told now you need to start thinking about the sun affecting your skin. I don't know what. And true, when you go and do like a sun check, a skin check, I recently went and did one. It was not too bad. But I know people who are in their 40s and their skin has showed that they're like 60 years old. So take care of yourself. Hydrate, pray, and find the right products that work for you. Not necessarily expensive products, but you need to embrace a richer self-care routine. Another thing that happens is that you realize that you're not as stronger as you were And we keep joking, but it's true. You see these memes, these TikToks things that keep going, that after 40, somebody tells you to go out at 9 and you're thinking, at 9? Like at night? It's actually true in some way. Because whereas when you were younger, you would go out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or even you'd start on a Thursday. Right now, if you go out on a Friday, let me speak for myself. I know there are those over 50 and they're still doing that and they're enjoying themselves. If I go out on a Friday and I come back past midnight, I'm going to need a day to recover from that. So you cannot expect to tell me to go out on Saturday. No. I have to choose. Which day of the weekend am I going out? And when they keep joking that if you see somebody over 40 and they're out past a certain time, they napped, most of the time is actually not a lie. But again, it's not even about the age. At this particular point, we're juggling so many things. In midlife, I'm worried about my mother. Is she taking care of herself? Did she take her med? Is she okay? I'm worried about my son. He's in college. I am worried. Is he going to be fine? He's telling me he wants to go to a party. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen in that party? And they keep joking. They're like, parents go to the worst of thoughts. Like if I call him, he's like, mommy, the first thing that comes to you in your head, you're thinking maybe I'm somewhere in a ditch. And I'm like, it's true. So it's not necessarily that we have aged. Yes, we have. And I age gratefully. I'm very grateful every year that I celebrate. But also we have many more things to juggle, many more things to worry about in midlife that means we have priorities of our time, and rest is very, very important. Something else that I've found that works during this midlife is exercise. Whatever it is that you do, just keep your body moving. You will end up looking good, which is an amazing bonus, but you actually feel good. And at this particular point, you want to actually stay away from the hospital. They say the money that you don't spend on your healthy habits, you're going to spend it in hospital. Healthcare is extremely expensive in Kenya or in any other country, really. So take care of yourself during this midlife. Ensure that you're in tip-top shape. This is the time you start experiencing some funny pains. Like for example, a couple of years ago, I used to be an avid hiker. Right about now, I have to think twice before I do a hike because my knees are hurting. It's not a joke. So you start having hapakule. My sister-in-law and I used to joke, used to say hapakule. You're having pains. You almost cannot be able to describe where, but you have a pain on your back. Hey, your knee, I don't know, is feeling like how. So you truly, in your midlife, you need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of your health. You need to ensure that you do those checkups, those cancer checkups and stuff like that. Go for your annual checkup. Make sure that you're working out. Just move, walk, go to the gym. I don't want to leave my arms, but it's actually very important around this time to do strength exercises because you want to strengthen your muscles. There's something about the bone density that reduces as you get older and stuff like that. Above all, find a peaceful community. Find peace. I think I'm in that space in my life during my midlife, and I'm really enjoying it and embracing it. I just want peace. I do not want drama. You want to walk out of my life is fine. You want to do something is fine. I saw another theory that a coach shared with me, and it's called the let them theory. Sometimes we get so worked up because people are not behaving or people are not doing the things that we expect them to do. There's this thing that's called let them theory. Somebody wants to do something, let them. Somebody is doing ABCD, let them. Somebody is saying something about you, let them. Somebody does not want to walk with you or go to the gym with you or do stuff that you want them to do, let them. Why? Because every single person is on their own journey. And once you understand that each and every person is on a journey, it becomes easy for you not to want control. Let them be, you do you. So let them, the theory of let them be. You do you, walk your journey, make sure that you're doing those things that enrich your life. Midlife is actually a fun age to be, because when they say really that, you stop caring about what people really think, but you'll only stop caring if you are aware, if you know who you are. If you're not working on knowing who you are, then you'll still be worried about what people think about you. But if you use this period to reflect and work on yourself, you become self-assured, you become self-aware, you become wiser, you become smarter, you know where to spend your energy, you know what areas to walk away. I keep saying nowadays I'm very agreeable. In spaces that I know is not going to serve me, You tell me this is what you're doing, I'm going to go like, okay, that's fine. Because I'm not going to waste my energy trying to convince somebody otherwise. So that is my midlife. Your midlife could be different and it could be chaotic. And there are people who also don't go through this midlife reflection. But for me, I'm looking at it as a space of rebuilding, redefining. So I am looking at my midlife and beyond as redefining my next best self. And even doing this podcast is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. But I've always had an excuse not to do it. In this space, I'm like, you know what? Feel the fear and do it anyway. And whatever it is that we learn through this space will help somebody. So make your midlife work for you. For me, it's working for me as a space of rebuilding. It's a space of rebirth. My midlife is a space that I am using as a platform, like a springboard to move me to my next best self. So what is your midlife like? I would love to hear, and I know we're all in different spaces of our midlife. There are those people who are very early into it. There's people who actually are in denial, they're not going through midlife. But all of us, however it manifests, every single person goes through this midlife reflection. It might not be a crisis, but everybody goes through this space where you're asking yourself questions about your life, like, okay, is it what it needs to be like? Do I need to shift things? What do I need to do? So I am so curious to hear what you're doing in your midlife, what you're going through, how you're handling this period, how you're riding this midlife wave. So let's engage on my social media handles. I would love to hear what journey you're on. Like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on my next episode. Thank you.